friends, welcome to the Messed Up Movies Podcast, a podcast celebrating movies and filmmakers that embrace the unhinged, the insane, the outrageous, the off-kilter, and the all-around kind of fun you can't take your eyes off of. I'm your host, Griffey, joined as always by my friend and co-host,
Alex Dandino. If you're interested in all the cool stuff we do, please go to misfitparade.net, where we have a newsletter. We tell you all the cool stuff we're about to do. Sugar Tits is about to drop. Woo! A wonderful, wonderful magnum opus with Griffey eating clam chowder like you've never seen anyone. Right. I'll be honest, it's the sexiest part of the entire thing.
No titty, no milk, as they say in the biz.
Deeply appropriate for today's film. Also, check us out on all your socials. Misfit Parade, all over the place. We are everywhere. All
TikToks,
the cool stuff we
Instagrams. Do. We need those likes, comments, shares, algorithm
Tell
stuff.
us the thing. Tell us how much you love what we're doing. Let Griff smell his own clam chowdered farts.
And then that is a little much.
And then move on with your day. But that's all it takes.
It takes the reclassing
like 2 seconds.
Brand emails that I've been sending. We're a classy, elevated show now. But that's fine. We'll live with that. Also,
I'll be honest, I haven't read those.
Make sure you leave 5-star ratings and reviews wherever you find this pod. As you guys know, we are here in the midst of a relaunch. So letting people know how you're liking the new format helps us out a ton. Okay.
It takes 30 seconds.
It takes 30 seconds, guys. It helps us out a shitload, I promise you. We also have the Messed Up Movies podcast Patreon community we're building over there. We would love to see you there. Lots of fun stuff. Coming down the road, we're doing a Creep Tapes miniseries. Tales from the Griff miniseries is going. But that's enough business. So this is our first of the Wednesday Horror Beast shows. This is going to be very much like the pod we've already done, where we talk about an older movie from the past. So as we rebranded Messed Up Movies, right? Part of our job here is we're trying to define what that means for people. It means a lot of things to a lot of people. We're just looking for wild, outrageous, unhinged, more than anything, just movies we fucking love for not fitting in a cookie cutter, right? So I was trying to think, what movie might best summarize the new thing that we want to do, right? Part of this is that as Misfit Parade, we are trying to make fun movies that kind of stick out. They're not just rehashes of slashers, all the things we've seen a bunch of times. We want to add a little extra to our movies, right? So what kind of movies inspire us as filmmakers? And one movie jumped right to the top of my mind. This is Braindead by Peter Jackson, also called Dead Alive. It's been retitled. So depending on where you go, it's Dead Alive or Braindead. I prefer Braindead as a title myself, so that's what we'll call it today. Alex, would you like to introduce the movie briefly?
Yes, Braindead or Dead Alive, depending on which. It's such a hard,
it was Dead Alive when I found it young, but I like Braindead. It's a better title.
It was
it's very apt for the movie itself.
Yeah, so I believe Braindead is the title everywhere except for North America, where it was retitled Dead Alive. I think because there was maybe already a Braindead movie.
We're tinkerers. The American, that's what we are.
The North American market
by nature.
But either way, 1992 movie from New Zealand. Directed by a small indie filmmaker that never really made it, a guy named Peter Jackson. Made on a budget of $3 million. It was his second movie after Bad Taste, which we did, which is available on this feed as, I believe, the first episode of the show. Was it the second episode?
Anaconda was our first. It was the second month curation.
Second month.
He also has a movie in this New Zealand phase called Meet the Feebles.
Also,
I also love the idea of seeing the New Zealand flag at the start of this. That the government is like, "This is art we have to make." Love that dearly.
To put it succinctly, a hybrid rat monkey is found in the wild, bites a lady, and starts a zombie apocalypse in a small New Zealand town.
Yeah, another fun Peter Jackson moment is that we start stealing an ape from Skull Island as he went on to do his version of King Kong. I thought that was cool.
That's cute, yeah.
Yeah, it's this monkey that creates...
Hilarity and gore ensues.
Yeah, comedy. This movie is essentially a living cartoon. I thought we'd start here. I think Peter Jackson might have one of the funnest what-if careers of any filmmaker we've seen, right? When you watch something like this, you can see the kind of over-indexed comedy gore fest that he was into, right? Bad Taste is essentially aliens who come to Earth to steal humans to make us on the menu for their intergalactic fast food, right? There's a world where Peter Jackson just keeps making these fucking absolutely madcap, bizarre horror films, right?
Sure.
At one point, if you watch the 5-hour-long Nightmare on Elm Street series documentary, Never Sleep Again, they talk about how, I believe it was right before New Nightmare or Freddy's Dead, right? Peter Jackson was at New Line pitching to do Freddy Krueger, right? He had this really cool pitch about how Freddy had become this forgotten dream entity. It was essentially like a shambling old homeless guy. And teens would get high to pass out and go fuck with him and beat him up. He manages to kill one of them and reignites his, murderous spree.
Oh, that's sweet.
He didn't get that, and they chose to do Freddy's Dead instead.
I was gonna say it's like how Freddy got his groove back, but not appropriate.
And, having seen Freddy's Dead, you're like, that's the movie I would have rather got. The interesting part is that then we might not have gotten him for Lord of the Rings. I think, in fact, that he was chosen to do Lord of the Rings, period. Looking at the work he had done is fucking insane, right? He had the Frighteners before he got to that point. So he had made something a little more mainstream than this. But still, there's a world where he just does insane horror. Imagine all of the nerds that found Lord of the Rings like us, and we're like, we love these. What else has the great Peter Jackson done? And you go back. Imagine if George Lucas had made this before Star Wars. The shock fans would have been in.
I think this is the other strange thing about Peter Jackson's career is he makes those 3 movies, which is Bad Taste, this, and then Meet the Feebles. And then he goes off and makes Heavenly Creatures with young Kate Winslet and Melanie Linsky. I don't know if you've ever watched that movie. I
have
watched
indeed.
Okay, so again, what the hell? Because again, you're just the Peter Jackson what if story really does begin there. Because can you imagine living in New Zealand and be like, oh, sweet, Peter Jackson's making a movie. I love that guy. Heavenly Creatures. This is going to be great. You walk into the theater, I'm like, holy shit, this is a serious movie. I have got to get out of here right now.
What?
I was not prepared. Oh, no.
There's an army of New Zealand Jackson stands. They're like, what's this Lord of the Rings crap?
What's this Lord of the...
Yeah.
What's this Heavenly Creatures? What's this Heavenly Creatures shit?
No, I do. I think there's a world, though. Because I think a lot of us as indie filmmakers, you're like, man, if only we could just get snapped up by the machine, get that paycheck, and then we'd come back.
Well, I think
never
this is
came
the
back.
weird thing. Well, this is the strange thing about that, though. Heavenly Creatures, not any of these other movies. To me, this movie would be Dead Alive would be the movie that you'd go, oh, that guy could direct The Frighteners. Heavenly Creatures was the one I was like, he could direct The Frighteners. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a bizarre starting point. And then there is just a world where we kept getting these movies that doesn't exist anymore. Which, again, Lord of the Rings, to me, you could argue that's the best trilogy of all time. I'm still partial to Star Wars myself, but I just rewatched it with the kids. It's fucking incredible. I don't want to live in a world without that version of Lord of the Rings. But I'm also sad to imagine what Peter Jackson, even The Frighteners is a fucking kind of insane horror cartoon. I wonder what we missed out on because he got brought into the fold. All right, let's start with the movie, Alex. There's a couple points I think we have to hit in this movie. This movie, to me, even more than Evil Dead 2, really captures the living cartoon aesthetic, right? I think even in the Evil Dead movies, there are moments where the horror peeks through more. There's moments where there's a little earnestness, and Evil Dead 1 especially, maybe not 2 as much. Clearly, that was an inspiration for Peter Jackson moving forward, right? I don't know if I've ever seen a movie like this that's so committed to the cartoon aesthetic. I don't know if there is a moment of earnestness or emotion in this entire film. Because every single performance, every single shot is a whipped camera. It's a gag. No one is acting like a human being. Did this change the way you watch the movie to just watch it? Because it's kind of just like watching an old Bugs Bunny, right? Wait for the gag, get through the, meet cute, no pun intended, right? Where all of a sudden we're doing this, a psychic who foresees a romance and whatever. This mother-son story, which is kind of crammed in there.
Right.
This whole thing, I've never seen a movie that is more committed to the cartoon gag.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the madcapery of it all is quite a thing to witness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wide angle lens movements, and I think the other thing too is, I know this is sort of, I don't know about you. This is always something I always notice, especially about movies like of this ilk. Mm-hmm. Labels for things are huge one-word labels. Like when there's a scene in the yeah, exactly, like poison, like not a type of poison, just poison.
We don't need to build a real world where medical folks are like, oh, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
We need to just let the audience
very specific.
And again, like, why does poison affect an already dead brain? Who knows? Who cares? But it's a gag.
It's a gag. Like, everything is a gag. Everything is, I think living cartoon is the best. Yeah, living cartoon's the only way to put it, because it's very specifically these characters doing this very specific thing, but like having no bearing on the real world specifically.
Well, like, I think back to the scene when, like, we're at the, like, final zombie showdown, right? And he's trying to run in the living room. And he's running on blood. Like, you are literally like a little more cartoonish Fred Flintstone sound effect from, like, why is this not a cartoon? And then he starts using the body parts to jump from, like, he's Lara Croft, right, to Tomb Raider his way out of there. It's just every scene, though, is
between that
with that.
When they cut off the guy's hand and he starts picking his nose, I'm like, this is all like. I think the term that is used for Peter Jackson movies of this ilk is splat stick.
That's a great phrase. I've never heard.
Great phrase.
Splat stick is exact, because it starts off right when we're on Skull Island. It's still funny, but it's not cartoonish yet, right? Like, we have the I have a permit, and the tribesmen are like, huh?
It's not cartoonish. It's just,
he whips out.
It's not cartoonish. It's just weirdly racist. Yeah, that's all.
I'm a zoo official, and this monkey's coming with me, and he starts shooting. They grab the monkey, and then the guys see that he's got a scratch, right? And they cut his hands off. You're like, okay, this feels like a funny but horror movie. The entire rest of the film so over-indexes the comedy. And again, we talk a lot about the horror-comedy balance. I've always believed that you have to play the horror and hope that the setting provides the comedy, right? Those are how the best movies do it, right? This one totally goes the other way, but to me, I do think it works, right? And I think there is a unified tonality that I don't know about for you. I'm sure some people watching this, especially if they're there more for Peter Jackson than this kind of movie, that this style will really bother them, right? This is not, as much as it's a turn your brain off movie, I wouldn't say it's an easily accessible flick. Like, there is a lot of fucking grit to the journey.
I mean, there's nothing accessible is not the word I'd use. I think that
I think Friday the 13th you watch and you can turn your brain off and enjoy. This one feels like it's a little more grating at times.
I think for me it's one of those things, and again, this has more to do with, you and I watch a lot of different kinds of movies. I think, like, if an American audience is watching this movie, it's just coming from a different frame of mind. Because it's weird to say that, because, like, it's not like it's like some out of the box. It's just way outside the realm human centipede like horror movie, like, where people are like, whoa. This is just like hyper cartoonish gore that I don't think many American filmmakers would come up with on their own. They'd see this and then go make their own version. You know what I mean?
I mean, so really, it's like this and Evil Dead kind of are like their own little niche genre to me. The extreme violence underpinned as a cartoon.
Yeah, I like the aesthetic of, like, there's just, again, for me, it's always the application of the wide angle lens stuff. Like, there's a lot of camera movement in this movie that's very specifically, like, meant for, like, it's like Pee Wee Herman type stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, it underpins.
It's immediately undercutting any reality we could put our foot in.
Well, that's sort of like comedic camera underpins a lot of the reality of, like, what's going on. Because, I think that now people are looking for, now when we watch zombie movies particularly, there is this, like, move into, like, oh yes, the reality of zombies and how they become zombies and all the truisms of what zombies really mean. She was like, yeah, I also watched George Romero when I was young. Thank you.
Yeah, well, he did that too. Like, he invented the like social commentary zombie.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm like,
now
but again,
I feel
that's
like
why
we've gotten the lesson in zombies.
But again,
now
that's
every
why I
zombie
say
movie is
it,
about how
but that's
people
why I'm
are
saying
the monsters. Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. This is like, yeah, I get it. Like, I also went to film school. Thank you. I like that this movie spends enough time just underpinning horror. It's like horror is the base level. Like, if you're going to look at it, like horror is the blood slick on the floor that everyone's slipping their comedy on. And that's like kind of how it works.
Yeah.
I like that.
horror is used more as set dressing, right, than the meat of the cake in this.
Like,
and
okay,
even the characters, right? Like, we have the mom is like a cartoonish, like, Cinderella mom. The guy is just, he's doing like a New Zealand Bruce Campbell reasonably effectively, right? The girlfriend is just kind of like the witness to all of this. And then you've got
Paquita,
every other character is just a fucking goofball, right? We've got like graveyard greasers. We've got a priest who knows kung fu, which, again, to me, of all the things in this movie that are fucking insane images, the thing about this movie I've never forgotten, and the thing that I have repeated ad nauseum, I kick ass for the Lord. And then he just starts busting out like fucking sick George St. Pierre kicks on everyone. And I was like, yeah, this is great. Like, I love this. It literally becomes just this fucking melding pot of like shit that I thought was cool when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it's got karate, and it's got getting laid. Oh my God.
I think melting pot is a great way to put it. Like, it is truly like all the things a teenage boy would be into.
Yeah.
In a movie, who like if you're
a child
you
who
teenage
finally
boy,
gets to melt all of his crayons into one giant colorful crayon.
yes. Like,
just
are
kinda
you a
makes a
teenage
mess.
boy?
That's what this
Are you a
movie
teenage boy that likes horror movies? I am. Cool. You should watch this. You will enjoy every second of it, and probably watch it again.
This is the best. We're gonna sneak into someone's garage to steal some dad's beers and turn on movie. Maybe of all time. Like, this is exactly what
it's
you were
definitely
looking
it's
for.
definitely one of the top. Definitely one of the top 3. Like, sneak into the garage movies.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk now about the rules of these zombies. I'm always fascinated by
What
this.
rules?
Right? Zombies are essentially creatures that are undead monsters, right? And somehow spread this, right? I used to have this book, The Zombie Survival Guide. It's like a cool little like fake, if you're in an apocalypse, what weapons to use, blah, blah, blah. I remember that book was one of the first ones I read that talked about the zombie disease is actually something that sits upon the brain as a separate organism that pilots us, right? That's why you destroy the head. That's where this thing lives, right? I think now that's a little more popular with Last of Us and fungal zombies and whatever. I'm always fascinated by how people choose to run their zombie world, right? Because when you're doing a zombie movie, there have to be rules to the game so that when someone gets scratched, right, or bitten, or in 28 Days Later, that amazing scene when Brendan Gleeson gets the drop of blood in his eye, right?
Really
As he
cool.
throws the rock of the crow, and we're like, fuck, we know he's got the fucking rage virus now. There have to be rules, right? There are magic zombies, there are biological zombies, and then there are dead alive zombies, right? So we start off with this fucking amazing claymation monkey, and this fucking old timer at the zoo's like, the rats got off the slave ship and they went and raped all them little tree monkeys. And we're like, is that what caused this? And then he's like, and then the witches used them in black magic. And you're like, wow, you're throwing a lot of info at me. So this is an act of nature a la Outbreak gone awry. But then the people on the island like respected and stayed away from the monkey so that they didn't. Anywho, right? So this is a more focused kind of thing. This is not just a contagion that is spreading rampant. This movie really gets at that. I think the magic is more important than I originally took, because they steal the monkey from a sacred guarded place and bring it into their world for financial gain.
Yeah, I think the magic, again, I really respect this about Peter Jackson's zombie rules, is that because he introduces magic, he pretty much eradicates any need for them.
Whatever the fuck he wants.
It's like, whatever you want. Which is great. I think that's great because it actually sets it apart. The zoo, where he fucking rips the other monkeys off and he's chewing it, and they have this little claymation rat. I was like, I fucking love this. And then it bites the mom, right? This is kind of our kickoff point.
We see the mom slowly dying and falling apart. There's that hideous, fucking disgusting scene of pudding, right? Where they're like putting her face back on.
I've never been more nauseous watching a movie in my life than that.
It's gross because we can see this thing is killing her from the inside. That the infection, like there's that great scene where he's banging his girlfriend and it's intercutting to the mom dying of zombies and going, and like some kind of old lady with a medallion that I guess also is magical. It's just kind of a deus ex machina in the middle of this flick.
Right.
And the mom, as he's about to fucking bust in his girlfriend, the mom's zombie wound fucking bust on a picture of the father. And I was like, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. This is where the zombie takes a shocking turn in how we unfold, right? We see that pudding scene. We see that the big boy, right? Mr. Thick. He's fucking like pumped for pudding. Like a little fucking portly erection. He's like shifting in his seat. What? No pudding? And he fucking eats the blood. We never check in on him again. Sorry, that's gross. There's no way to know if he becomes a zombie. Later in the movie, we see everyone in the cast fucking coated with blood. There's no way it's not in their mouth and eyes. They don't turn. So this isn't transferred by bite or scratch, which is weird because it's usually some kind of like bodily fluid transfer. This one is more just once you have been scarred by the thing, now you are brought into the fold. When it has broken your skin, when it has disrupted your physical body in your safe little quaint town, now you are a zombie. And again, I'm imagining this might be a product of not being super well thought out or mattering much. But it plays as this different kind of zombie. This is not a fluid transfer. This gets back to that magical origin.
Yeah, I think that magic is sort of the key component here. And I appreciate that. I think that actually makes it a little closer to Evil Dead than a normal zombie movie.
Exactly. And again, I think this movie is the clearest homage. Like, hey, I've seen Evil Dead and I love it.
Yeah, I think that helps. Yeah, that helps the movie more than anything, is just not keying into real zombie rules. Again, like,
even the fact that it transfers to animals, right? That's something that like a lot of our popular zombie movies, animals are okay for the most part, right?
I really like that. I really like the concepts in this movie in general because there are no rules. I do think, look, I like movies that have those kinds of zombie rules and that kind of thing. But when you start a movie in the middle of nowhere or in a village where you're stealing rat hybrid monkeys, there's no rules to begin with.
And like then in case that wasn't enough, you just have an old timer go, yeah, it was Blake magic. And you're like, well, now we're off to the races, right?
Right, perfect.
Here are some other things we see these zombies do. I love when the head falls down and bites the priest because he's whipping everyone's ass. He roundhouse kicks the head up in the air and it comes down and lands on him and bites him. Fucking classic, right? The scene where he has them all sitting at the table having their zombie dinner is so perfectly encapsulating of what this movie is, right? The guy's putting the spoon like through his head. The nurse, it's like gurgling out of her wound, and he's trying to put it down her neck hole. Here's another thing that the Dead Alive zombies have that make them a bit unique. The priest, now unburdened the fucking shackles of the cloth and morality, immediately is like, I'm going to finger this nurse, right?
Oh my God.
He's trying to stop them. He runs outside because big fat Uncle Lyle shows up and it's just like, oh, is that the stag film with the donkey and the receptionist? You're like, dear God, this was a house of horror before this movie ever started. He goes back in and the priest is just fucking getting after it, right? They're fucking smashing. She's chewing his face off. So not only are these zombies pursuing all of the fleshes, right?
All
it's
a
full zombie F-sesh.
Yeah.
They can produce in their dead wombs at hyper speed.
Oh my God.
In but minutes. This priest busting the nurse. The nurse grows a zombie baby that rolls down like a fucking an amphibious rescue
I swear to God.
in the ocean. And
I was
we have
not
a fully
prepared for
formed
this.
zombie baby that did not exist in any shape or form. They didn't tell us she was pregnant. She definitely wasn't exceptionally pregnant. This zombie is made by sinful seed. almost immediately. So not only can these zombies turn us, they could propagate little monstrous zombies that have an insane amount of full body control rapidly.
I swear to God, I was not prepared for this moment in the movie at all.
Yeah.
And the sequence itself was so uncomfortable. I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. It is so strange.
Why is this happening?
The baby's such a big addition to what we're doing. I mean, of course, it's just so we can get that baby's day out scene at the park where he's like running around and he's fucking, I love when he's doing elbow drops on him and shit and he fucking bashed him in the face. It's a comedy gag. But you're like, the adding of the baby adds horrifying realities to these zombies. One of the things I like to think about when watching zombie movies is which of these zombie hordes is the scariest. And I've always thought Train to Busan seems to be the scariest. That or 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
Because there's a speed and a quickness of turning, this and that. I actually think I'm wrong. Like, if you were picking, like, you got to go to one continent, right? Train to Busan is taking over Asia. Europe is all rage virus. We've got Romero zombies. I was like, the one place on the map I would never go is fucking New Zealand. These are horrifying, unstoppable zombies. They can turn me from a bite or a scratch. They could also then bang my undead body.
I was going to say, even worse, they're
little
horny.
Evil fucking zombie minions. And if that's not enough, right? That alone makes them the scariest. Then we see that these aren't only just zombies, they can fucking absolutely mutate, right? When we see Lyle come back as the hunchback spinal giraffe, dude, right? Yeah. He's like bent over and he has the tall spine, like looking like the Thing. And he comes in the room, I was like, yeah, that's scarier than any zombie you'll see. As soon as you see that, you're like, ah!
You know what? This is a thing that like we all like. This is a part of it that we all should have sort of seen. And like, you know, I'm not saying that anybody has the foresight to know this, but isn't there something really fascinating about like that kind of creature feature stuff that you're like, oh, the guy who ends up making Lord of the Rings, this is probably, that makes sense. Like, this is a guy who can handle this. There's something about that I love so much.
What it is you just see unfucking bridled creativity, right? Yeah. And it's not shocking that a guy with a mind like this could make and really fill and give the visual flavor we need to Middle Earth, right? If you go back, like, all we had seen is that what is it, Ralph Bakshi cartoon, which is not great. It's fine. I like it. You needed someone like Peter Jackson to fill this world visually.
I only ever saw The Hobbit when I was a kid. It was only till much later that I saw the Lord of the Rings one, which was the rotoscoping thing that Ralph Bakshi did. Yeah. But like,
where Aragorn falls down and they're just like, keep it in, draw over it. It's like, dude, this is the return of the motherfucking king, dude. He's not getting that cool Viggo Mortensen sex appeal. He's just like your uncle who's like, I used to be a fullback. Ah!
Watching this tonight, I actually was, or not tonight, but watching this movie, I was sort of taken aback by how much I sort of like. Again, when you see the history, when you know the history of Peter Jackson, how he got there, it does make a lot of sense. Because, yeah, I think unbridled creativity, just knowing what you are capable of on a $3 million budget. And then
because not only do we get the Lyle thing, you're like, that had to cost money. The lawnmower scene definitely had to cost money. All of a sudden, as if Lyle's not scary enough, we see Mommy's come back. She went under the ground and began to change and mutate, right? As if the ground gave her like this fucking womb to rebirth herself. Yeah. Mom comes out and it's almost like she was drawn by Pixar, dude. Just, she's built like an Instagram model from Brazil, right? Just thickness everywhere, dude. Massive fucking cake. Giant, just bulbous, engorged titties. But like a monster face, she looks like Jeffrey Jones's professor from Howard the Duck, but with an Instagram filter body. And it is horrifying. She's also about 20 feet tall. So as if that's not scary enough, we mutate. She has a stomach vagina that opens up to reabsorb her son back into her womb and recreate him as she sees fit. When they get to the roof, here's the other fucking scary, startling thing. She has full cognitive capabilities. Full cognition. She is talking. She's admonishing her son for not being good. She's calling his girlfriend a whore. And then the boyfriend does oh yeah, you killed mommy and daddy. I found a skeleton. Yeah, he finds his dad's like sultry picnic pictures. that I'm guessing Lyle took for sure, in a fucking chest or a trunk that has a dead blonde lady in it. So he knows that his dad was cheating and his mom killed them both, right? He witnessed it. That's why he's afraid of water. You're like, hey, don't cram in the superfluous story as I'm looking at mom's giant engorged fucking tits.
I legitimately think that was one of my favorite things. Like, wait, we're going to stop this movie and all this insanity to give a little pathos to this guy?
You're going to cut away from whatever the fuck has happened to mom to show us that she smothered a woman in a bathtub? I don't care. I do not care. Get me back to those fucking cakes, dude. That's where I want to be. Am I liking
cut away
this?
from cakes?
Am I turned on? Has Instagram ruined my brain where I saw this zombie and was like, nice? I don't know. I just want to be on that roof. But again, the fact that they can mutate, they have old fucking standing emotional beefs. Like the grave doesn't wash away the emotional beefs and trauma. And again, that is fucking scary. If you look at these, because she's not like some kind of patient zero. The monkey already had it, right? Other people have been bitten, whatever. At the end, we see even the greaser has mutated into some kind of legs thing. So this is magical zombies that can go from a scratch and this and that. They can fucking make more, and they keep their human brains, and they can mutate as if they are the alien in the thing. If these are not the scariest zombies, the only one I think might be almost as scary as Return of the Living Dead, because they are essentially completely unkillable and have some humanhood still. But this is the one you're like, this is the apocalypse I think might be extra scarring and emotional for me that I would like to avoid.
I think I would agree with that. I think zombies that are also horny is certainly not on my to-do list.
I don't want to get, don't fucking bite my earlobe and then penetrate me. Like, just take me out, rip my fucking throat out.
Don't bite my earlobe, but also like blow into it. Like I'm not into that.
Like, your undead breath, my erection.
So worse.
No, what's happening to me? Yeah, I don't want to be walking around the zombie apocalypse hard. You know what I mean? Like that guy at the strip club with the gray sweatpants who's like 60. You're like, why are you still in the game?
Why are you still wearing sweatpants?
Why are you still in the game?
Got it.
And that's a real story, by the way. Neither here nor there. All right, finally, this has to be in the Hall of Fame. Body horror. No.
Gags. I'm gonna stop you right there. This is the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, I love body horror movies.
Make for me is that it's so cartoonish that you don't feel it in your body as much. I disagree. When the mom eats her own ear, when we watch just bodies eviscerated by chainsaws, when the one zombie's just like hung on the light, like they fucking blend a guy's head right in a blender. The horrifying effects of how we destroy bodies in this movie. I mean, this is a legendary entry into the Body Horror Maiming Hall of Fame. Now, some people, I can hear them arguing, this isn't body horror because it's not about our inner struggles and body issues. I don't know, man. I would be fucking afraid to have what happened to Lyle happen to me. I think this is body horror to me. You think mom was pumped to become an Instagram model? Maybe. I think this is body horror.
I'll tell you my favorite body horror gag is the guy who gets all the meat from his legs eaten off, and they like pull him out, and he's like, ee. It's just the tiny little bone
he's got
legs.
The little kicking legs. It was like he was a bit on all that in the 90s. It's like, okay.
I could not stop. I know that's
great. They've got face
I just couldn't
rips.
stop laughing.
How about this? Here's a body horror moment. How about when you die? This is another zombie power, actually. When the greaser is in the toilet and flushes himself, his internal organs go outside of his body and create a new sentient being that looks at itself in the mirror and then at the end puts its little lungs hands together to pray. This is the scariest apocalypse. This is the scariest of all time. But again, yeah, I mean, the gag, awesome. the gag that everyone remembers is the lawnmower.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes to fucking town. And this was the most famous horror movie scene with the lawnmower until Sinister came out. Right? Because that's actually fucking like scary. But this has so many insane gags. When the greaser's peeing on mom's grave and she fucking grabs him by the dick and shot puts him, right? Blood spraying everywhere. How many fucking gallons of fake blood must they have used in this movie? How about at the end when he jams the medallion out of mom and we have a shining level of blood pouring from that big bulbous zombie body. I mean,
oh, God, dude.
This has to be one of the wildest series of gags. How about when Lyle just is doing that, like he's in Delicatessen, and just makes a fucking literal pile of corpses. You've got the nurse whose head falls off that's like oozing pudding. You've got the priest's face being pulled off. At one point, Lyle's just pulling teeth out of the fucking priest's mouth.
That was
pliers.
fucking gross.
There is not a part on the body that is not accosted in the course of this film.
I like the street tough who gets his rib cage fucked by the grave. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, dude. That's another zombie power. She fucking shot puts a full-grown greaser like 20 yards. He looks like a punt. So they're also super strong. I mean, this fucking movie. What were some of your favorite gags? If you had to pick like your 3 favorite gags in the movie.
Oh, for me, it's definitely like the intestines becoming another person.
Becoming
like
sentient.
the half.
Yeah,
the sentient intestines. The little kicks.
The little kicks.
I don't know why. That just made me laugh. And then, okay, there's one that I thought was like, there's one that was, I think it was just because the cut was really good too. With like the big finale, and I can't remember who puts their fist through. I think
he punches through the lady's head, and then she's just
punches
stuck
through
on
the
his
lady's
arm.
head. Yeah, I was like
Fucking
that. And
great.
the cut particular is
Great.
like that is fucking sweet.
Yeah, I would go. I love the dinner scene where they're all trying to eat and finger each other.
Yep,
That's a horrifying gag. I gotta go lawnmower. It's such a fucking classic at this point.
it's a classic. Yeah,
And weirdly, I'm gonna go baby in the blender, where the baby like jumps out of the blender, falls in, she turns it on, it jumps, she punches it, it goes through the window and does an immediate diving headbutt to Lyle's balls.
I also forgot the baby being birthed out of the radio. That was another.
Yeah. Oh,
was
I
another
forgot.
one.
The best gag in the movie is when the nerd girl's like, "It's me, it's Glenda," or whatever. And the baby pulls her fucking face open and his face emerges from the middle.
Awesome.
I lied. That's the best gag in the movie.
That actually.
But again,
Yeah.
it's still Looney Tunes.
There's so
first,
many.
But it's
so many.
fucking gnarly. And it so fucking disrespects the human form that I was like, I couldn't get enough of this movie. I fucking love this movie. All right, one more question before we get to our ending moment. Does the baby live at the end?
Oh, God. I kind of hope not, to be honest with
Can
you.
butt fire bring down this baby?
God, I hope so.
They let you know there could have been a Braindead 2.
A faint soupçon.
Yeah, just a little waft. He can go back right now. This legacy sequel, this is a big thing. All right. We like to end every movie with this question, Alex. What was the most messed up moment in the movie to you?
Okay. This is minuscule, and it's not compared to the rest of the movie, but I'm going to tell you the part that made me physically ill was watching the mom eat her own ear. I was completely nauseous.
It's so fucking insane.
It's so gross.
Oh, that old wrinkly skin. Just covered in skin tags and fucking moles. You got to go to a doctor.
The whole,
for.
like, you know what's interesting? That sequence, like, it's probably like 30 seconds of film.
Yeah.
But, like, from the moment the trays of pudding come out, I'm like, something gross is about to happen. Because that pudding looks like the, like, liquid that they used in Bad Taste, just a different color. And I'm like, something gross is going to happen, and this is going to make me nauseous. Like, that entire sequence is just disgusting.
Yeah. For me, the most messed up moment of the movie, I mean, I guess it's kind of which one freaks you out more? The baby ripping the face open and emerging from between the Lisa Loeb's face.
Pretty sweet.
Is fucking just one of those horror images. You're like, oh my God, how did he get in her body? What was she doing? She was talking 1 second earlier. Was he puppeting this woman's poor body? Was he like crawling up in her so he had to like shove his head up the base of her skull to then rip her? Like, that is so, the series of how that happened that pays off in the little baby's face emerging, and then it has this hideously annoying laugh. That is such a fucked up image. You don't see stuff like that in movies very often, right? In the series of it's a baby, it's a zombie, it's inside of her. Is it pretending that she's still her, right? Like this woman's just slowly being ripped apart on the inside like a goddamn plaything for this zombie child. That is fucking horrifying.
Right.
You could also say the idea of two zombies busting in each other and then rapidly making the baby is horrifying. But I think it's the payoff image of the baby where the face is fucking ripped open. It really tells you, because again, this baby is what, like a week old? 2 weeks old, and he's already this evil. It's almost as if babies birthed from this magic are not human at all, right? Like, we are human-based.
Oh, no. I
so
mean, I assumed they were just little demon babies.
This thing is totally fucking unchained, and we have no idea what it could become. I think the baby has to be the most messed up thing. If I was going to give a small nod to, like, something forgotten in the movie that made me go, ugh, it was when Lyle's trying to grab the girlfriend, for which seems like a crime is about to happen. He goes, I bet you bust like a rocket. And I just went, God. Oh, God, that guy in that suit with the hairpiece, like, oh, fucking vile, man. All right, so Alex.
It'll get you there.
Why is this a Misfit Parade type movie? Why is this our kind of messed up movie to you?
Oh, I mean, I think the content speaks for itself. I think this is up our alley in terms of the way the story proceeds, the way the characters are portrayed. Like we like to make madcap shit too. I think the madcapness is what makes it.
Yeah, madcapped, right? Those kind of words, when we hear those kind of words, we're like, these are our people. And again, it's unchained creativity. It's not, this movie has no rules that it cares to follow at all.
Yeah.
Everything is in service of making the most fun and memorable movie for the audience.
Well, like, when you think of Misfit Parade, like, to me, it's one of those things where someone said, oh, yeah, zombie baby, and Griffey's zombie baby? Yes, I'm there. Absolutely. No problem.
Yeah, it's one of those, when you're indie filmmakers, I think you have to spend the time to we don't have the time and resources to just greenlight shit. When we make something, we're putting everything we've got into it, literally.
Yeah.
What do we want to give to audiences? And when I see movies like this that exist outside of kind of a traditional box, and it's like, this movie is just a gift from the gods. How did this get funded by a national government? How did this movie get to me in the fucking wildest form that it could exist in? That to me is one of those, like, keep going, son. There is light at the end of it. Well,
yeah, I think you said it earlier, like, unbridled creativity is pretty much the indie spirit. And when you see a movie like this and someone who's just going to go for it, like, what's not inspirational about that? Come on.
It's beautiful. That's it for Braindead, A.K.A. Dead Alive here in the States. A truly messed up movie. We will be back, guys. So here's the new schedule for those of you who are here. You can go back and find our Welcome to the Messed Up Movies pod. We're going to explain a lot of this. But while we're here, Monday, new movies, streaming or theaters. Wednesday, old movies, right? Kind of like what we were doing on Film Alchemist. And then Friday, filmmaker interviews, which have been so fucking fun. This is maybe my favorite addition to the podcast lineup that we're doing right now. So stay tuned with us, guys. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're leaving 5-star ratings. You can do that on Spotify, Apple, wherever. You can comment on Spotify episodes now. Make sure you find us on social media. We're on YouTube, Misfit Parade. We got shorts, TikToks, Reels, all of that stuff, dude. Find us. Go to misfitparade.net. We have a newsletter you can be up on, right? Sugar Tits is out on the YouTube right now. Go do that. We are here relaunching. We need your help. Another thing you can do, go to the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon. Help us craft the new version of the show. More than anything, thanks for your time. We'll see you.
We love you.
Next time.